We're here representing the Michigan Independent Citizens Redistricting Commission. Our purpose is to address the Michigan Supreme Court decision and our resolve to ensure fair maps through citizen input. As the Communications and Outreach Director for the Commission, I am joined by the MICRC Chairperson, Commissioner Rebecca Zatella. As you know, more than 61%, I repeat, 61% of Michigan voters agreed that citizens and not politicians should draw the lines for Michigan's congressional, state senate, and state house districts through public engagement and to form the Michigan Independent Citizens Redistricting Commission. Through an open and transparent process, the MICRC continues to receive public comment to consider in drawing fair maps. At our last count, we were near 25,000 public comments. As you know, this is unprecedented in Michigan's history when it comes to drawing maps. We appreciate the ongoing engagement of Michiganders who continue to show up and speak up. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to our Commissioner, Rebecca Zatella, once again, the MICRC Chairperson.
Thank you, Director Woods, and thank you to everyone for attending today. As you know, the Michigan Supreme Court speaks through its written opinions. Yesterday, the Commission shared that it was aware that the Michigan Supreme Court had made a decision in the Detroit News case and that we were in the process of complying. At this time, you can access each of those memos and the closed session recording off the Commission's website at www.michigan.gov/MICRC. The materials are located under the Resources tab on the website, and they are listed as MSC 163823 materials. Let me repeat that for everybody. It's MSC 163823 materials. Our commitment to transparency remains intact. Based on the counsel of our legal team, in October, the Commission entered into a closed session in an open manner that included alerting the public about our intentions. It was not done secretly, and the members of the press were present and aware. The Supreme Court disagreed with our decision to hold that closed session and followed up with the court order indicating that that was their opinion. As an independent body, the Commission's mission is to ensure that fair maps are going to be implemented, and we are not deterred by any challenges that have come across our path, including COVID-19 or its detractors. The Commission's mission is to lead Michigan's redistricting process to ensure that Michigan's congressional, state senate, and state house district lines are fairly drawn in a citizen-led, transparent process meeting our constitutional mandates. At this point, I will hand it back to you, Edward.
Thank you so much. At this point, the floor is now open for questions, and we can answer your questions as they arise. Beth LeBlanc with the Detroit News.
Hey, thank you. Sorry, I couldn't figure out how to get myself off mute. I had a quick question. The dissent in the opinion yesterday said that it left the commission without like clear guidance on when it could go into closed session or when some memos were considered attorney-client privilege. I guess, does the commission plan to go into closed session in the future? And if so, what would be the criteria that you guys would abide by to do that? Or in terms of attorney-client privilege information, at what point would you guys consider that privilege versus disclosed?
Well, Beth, I think you have a great question. That's why we have a legal team. As you know, we have a legal team that will identify where we are, what we need to do. At this time, I'm not aware of any pending closed sessions. We were waiting for the ruling from the Supreme Court. Now that we have the ruling, we'll wait to hear from our legal team how to move forward. Thank you for that question. Lauren Gibbons from MLive.
So I have a question about the content of the closed session. At one point, actually at a few points, Attorney Adelson referenced the cities of Flint comments versus the cities of Detroit comments. And I'm just curious, maybe Commissioner Zatella can speak to this as a participant in the hearing. What was your takeaway from that comment? Was the implication that the city of Flint's commentary was more useful than the City of Detroit's because it wasn't referencing the Voting Rights Act?
I would have to look back at the actual statements, but that was not my understanding of what we were being told. I think the feeling was that we were receiving comments from Flint specific to their water crisis and their unique concerns, and then we were receiving comments with respect to Detroit with respect to their unique concerns. I don't think there was a weighing of one is more influential or important than the other. It was just focusing on the context of there being different comments that are unique to different areas, and that we can respond differently based on the different feedback we receive if we choose to do so.
And one quick other question, Commissioner, if I'm recalling correctly, you voted to release these documents initially. Do you think the court made the right decision?
I wouldn't say that the court made the right decision or the wrong decision. I think the court made the decision that it did, and we have to follow it. And I think that as a commission, I think the fact that we do sometimes vote differently and we have very vigorous discussion on matters, I think is a sign of a healthy commission, that we're able to debate and discuss things with each other, and we aren't always going to agree. And I think that's a good thing, and I think it's a sign of a healthy commission.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lauren. Appreciate your time. Sergio Martinez, Beltran with Ridge, Michigan.
Thank you, Edward, and great seeing you all. I have two questions, but the first one is a follow-up on something that Beth asked. I'm just curious, how do you see this decision impacting discussions or the behavior of the commission moving forward?
I think, once again, that will depend on the advice that we get from legal counsel. As you know, we got the decision yesterday. They're in the process of meeting and advising us on how to move forward because, as you know, this is unprecedented. You know, no other commission has this challenge that we have here in Michigan as it relates to attorney-client privilege. Like we said earlier, we are aware of the decision, we're complying with the decision, and we're going to trust our legal counsel to navigate us through these unknown times that we have coming ahead. Go ahead, Sergio, if you have a follow-up.
Thank you. Well, the reason I asked is because Chair Zetela is also an attorney, and so I was curious to hear her thoughts on this. But I guess that my next question is, you know, in terms of, well, I guess the follow-up would be that, you know, curious to hear what Chair Zetela has to say. You are an attorney chair, and at the end of the day, you voted to release these memos. You know, do you think the commission needs to have different representation after this defeat in court?
Well, let's be clear. I mean, you know, Chair Zetela is a lawyer, as you so noted, but she's not a lawyer for the commission. The commission has hired a legal team to provide its counsel, and so it's kind of unfair to put her in that situation. With regards to that, as you know, the commission speaks in one voice.
But she's the chair of the commission, Edward.
I understand exactly what you're saying, and she's more than free to repeat what I just shared with you, Sergio, but I'm just saying, you know, the whole idea with regards to the commission, as you know, and it's no different, is that we speak with one voice. I mean, that's the principle, that's the process. Commissioner Zetela already shared in her comments that it's great to have a healthy debate, that people know that we don't always agree and are singing kumbaya, you know, and hum, 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 all of that. No, this is a serious debate, and what we're showing and what the voters wanted to see was a mature debate where we're not attacking or going after each other's as they have witnessed in the political environment, but one that can bring some common sense solutions that can agree to disagree respectfully so that it continues to focus on a mission to draw fair maps of public engagement. But Commissioner Zetela, please, if you would like to have something.
Thank you.
I would just add to that, as yes, I am an attorney, as is Commissioner Lett. And obviously that background informs how I view things. But I think part of the takeaway as a lawyer is that we all know that when you go into court, there's always going to be winners and losers. And that doesn't necessarily mean, and nor does it mean in this case, that our lawyers were giving us bad advice or that they didn't do a good job. It doesn't mean that at all. It just means that they asserted an opinion and the court disagreed with that opinion and the court made its ruling. But I don't think that's indicative that we're getting bad legal advice or that we need to change counsel. I think that's just part of the litigation process. So at this point, we have an opinion. Our attorneys have it, and it's lengthy, and I would expect them to read it several times and follow that opinion and provide the commission with their legal advice as to how we need to comply fully. We've partially complied at this point with releasing memos, but there's more work to be done from our legal department, and they will do that work, and I know they'll do it competently and efficiently, and they will have information that will help guide us, and as a commission, we will move forward.
Thank you. Ben Solis with Gonware News.
Hey, all, can you hear me?
Yes.
Good. So it feels like a rudimentary question, but after listening to the closed session tape, there was very little that stood out to me that appeared so sensitive that this could not have been a discussion in open session, save for a few comments that some might have found offensive. But, what I heard was really informative. I walked away with an expanded view of the VRA. So I guess, Rebecca, if you can, give your thoughts, but also maybe some of the thoughts of other commissioners, maybe speak for the commission as a whole on why were they so concerned about these conversations coming out and hurting them legally or affecting its credibility when, based on what I heard, that conversation could have had the opposite effect and given lay people probably a little bit more pause about what you guys were doing?
So I can't speak for individual commissioners as to why they voted for or in favor of opening those memos up. We did have discussion on it on the record, and that's out there. I do think a benefit of these memos being released is that the public can see very clearly how hard and how diligently we are working to understand the law and make sure that we are complying with it. And I think that is the beauty of these memos being released, is that the public can see very clearly that we really are being very diligent, we are being very thorough, and we are making sure we understand the law so that we can draw fair maps in a transparent process. And so I think that is a benefit of these memos being out there.
Thank you so much. Any follow-up, Ben?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
All right. Colin Jackson with MRP, Michigan Public Radio Network.
Yeah, thank you. Once again, thank you for being here. Just to echo what Sergio said. My question is, just listening through the tape of the session, it sounded like one of the big emphasis that Bruce Adelson had was to focus more about keeping communities together. And the takeaway from a lot of the public comment was about community lines versus what people were saying about the Voting Rights Act and wanting to create majority-minority districts and everything else. And Detroit was one of the biggest topics that came up with both Commissioner Kellum. I believe the quote from Commissioner Curry was, "We've got to give people what they want." Commissioner Kellum brought up that people, they may not have been using the right terms, but they were speaking about keeping their communities together and making sure that they were able to address Detroit or vote Detroit representatives. Do you feel like since that point, the Commission's maps address what I believe Kellum called Detroit being jacked up?
I don't think as a commission we've decided on final maps, and so I think that we are continuing to receive public comments, and certainly the release of these memos is going to generate more public comments, and I think we may revisit that next week. We may not. We just need to make some decisions as a commission, but we are still open to making changes in the map, and I wouldn't say that that's a resolved issue at this point. I say that we still have time to make changes if we feel they're appropriate based on public commentary and our understanding of the VRA, and we just sort of need to wait for the commission to decide on that. That's not something that I can decide on my own. It's something we have to decide as a commission, and we will next week.
And I think, to go a little bit further, they were talking about communities and neighborhoods in particular, in terms of how Detroit is broken up in different neighborhoods and have their identity, was something that we've heard quite consistently. During the public hearings, when the commission was asking questions to those who were speaking, they were really talking about the neighborhoods and how important for the neighborhoods to stay together. Thank you so much, Colin, for that. Lauren Gibbons, I see you have a follow-up, and then we can go to Dave Butcher with Detroit Free Press, sorry. Lauren?
Yeah, thank you. Another point that came up a couple of times during the closed session was a specific commentary from attorneys and from some commissioners about the interpretation from the Michigan Department of Civil Rights regarding their conclusions related to the VRA. Has any of that changed? I know that the department has put forward an analysis in the last several days, but does the commission's and the commission's legal representation opinion of what the Department of Civil Rights had to say about the Voting Rights Act remain as it did on October 27th?
I think you asked me that question last week in an email. I think I got a few others with regards to that. And the commission stands by the counsel that we're receiving from our Voting Rights Act legal counsel. As you all know, is Bruce Adelson. We have not changed our minds in any shape, way, or form with regard to the counsel that he has provided us, and are moving forward with that counsel. Dave Butcher, if I hope I said your name right, Detroit Free Press.
Yeah, it's okay. Dave Boucher. It's totally fine.
Thank you.
Commissioner, I think, now that we've had a chance to look at the memos and listen to the meeting, there's some nuanced discussions and, a pretty thorough analysis, but voters have a hard time tracking nuanced discussions and thorough analysis. They don't have a hard time tracking the concept, the lack of transparency, and the commission losing at the Supreme Court. Can you talk to whether or not voters might have lost trust in the commission due to the commission losing this case before the court?
I certainly hope the public hasn't lost trust, and I don't think most of the public has. I think that we are continuing to receive feedback from the public, robust feedback on our website, hundreds of comments that keep flowing in. So the fact that that's occurring tells me that the public hasn't lost trust in us and that they respect this process and that they know that we are working very hard and very diligently to come up with fair maps in a transparent manner. So I would say I don't think they've lost faith in us, and I would be disappointed if that were the case, but I don't think it's true.
Just a step further, I think it's absolutely false, Dave, that the public has lost trust in us. We are aware of our few detractors who send out incendiary headlines, just to catch people's attention. But if you look at our last meeting, December 16th, we spent about 4 hours hearing from public comment. I mean, we were in Detroit. We had people there from Grand Rapids. We had people there from Midland, speaking about their community, speaking about their maps, knowing how important this process is, and just appreciating the opportunity that we can finally be heard in multiple settings across the state with regards to this new redistricting process. So absolutely not. I mean, I see the same headlines that you guys get in terms of press releases, but I just think those are just more trying to catch news or catch opinions than anything else. Because if you look at the work and the public that continues to show up and take the time, think about this. These people are coming. Our citizens, our colleagues, our representatives right here in Michigan are coming in person to make these public comments. I'm not talking, in addition to the remote, in person, knowing that they have 60 seconds and they're saying, guess what? My investment of driving there and making my voice heard is important, and I want to register my input with the commission because I believe that they're interested in having public input to draw fair maps. I mean, we just can't be excited enough about all the people that continue to provide public comments, whether it's in person or remotely, to this process. So no, we don't feel that at all. And like Commissioner Zatella said earlier, we're not going to be deterred by our detractors and those trying to get headlines with regards to the process. They've been here before Proposal 2 was passed. We're here after Proposal 2 was passed, and they continue to be here while we're doing our work. So yeah, they might make a buzz, but once again, the commission, as you have seen, continues to follow its mission to draw a fair map with public engagement. Colin?
Sorry, I just had a quick follow-up for my question before. I just muted myself too soon to ask it. So Commissioner Zatella, sorry to bring you back a few questions ago, but you mentioned that the commission hadn't picked final maps yet, and there's a lot more to do at its meeting next week. There's going to be a lot more public comment now that the public has access to these documents and that recording. Is that suggesting that there's the possibility, and I know that there were house maps in particular that people during public comment before had the biggest issue with. Are you suggesting the possibility that the maps that have been proposed so far, they aren't all the commission could propose, that there may be a possibility for another 45-day public comment period?
I would say that until we have our final votes, anything is possible. We certainly have the ability to change maps. We had it on our agenda for our last meeting to discuss changing maps, and so that could still happen, and we could decide to make some changes and start another 45-day period, or we could choose not to. It's just going to have to see what happens next week after discussion with the rest of the commission.
Is that something you personally have appetite for?
I am not opposed to making changes if it satisfies the opinions of the public that we need to. So I am not opposed to it individually. I'd be okay with it, but ultimately it's a commission decision.
All right, thank you.
All right. Beth?
Thank you. Just a quick follow-up. So the Supreme Court decision, I think it came out around 2 p.m. yesterday, and it asked for the immediate release of these documents and recordings, but it wasn't till, I think, about 8 hours later that they were actually sent out. Nothing was redacted, nothing was changed. I guess I'm just curious what the delay was during that time and why, I guess why the commission didn't plan for the prospect that it would have to release them immediately. That's my question.
Well, I think it's a great question. Our general counsel was working with the plaintiff attorneys with regards to releasing the information, and they were well aware of what's going on and everything that took place as well. As I got the information, after they met and decided, I think it was about 11 o'clock, just to get everything in order. I then made it available to members of the press. We did not have, how can I say, help for the website at that time. And so that's why the information is posted this morning, as along with the court recording. But that's the process. The plaintiff was working with our general counsel. And then once I got the okay, they sent me the information and we tried to get it out to you as quickly as we could. But it's available to the public, as Commissioner Zatella has shared, right there on the website, as well as the materials. It's all there. Sergio?
Yes, thank you. And I know we're a week away from the beginning of the voting phase, but I'm curious, Chair Zatella, if you feel that the process the commission has discussed on how to adopt the maps, it's clear enough, or if it needs additional tweaking. It sounds that y'all are going to start taking public comment and go again the next day. If you can.
Sergio, you broke up. Can you start back again, please? I'm not sure what happened.
Can you hear me?
It's something happened. I'm not sure what's going on, but it sounds faint. It wasn't as strong as you started. Okay, while we're waiting for Sergio, let's go to Ben Solis with Gunware, then we'll come back to Sergio.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure, you might have mentioned this, but do you all plan to talk about the fallout from this Supreme Court decision in length at the next meeting? I know the next meeting is going to be primarily dealing with these presentations of the maps, but are you guys planning to carve out time to discuss this in an open session?
I mean, the opinion speaks for itself. So we followed it, and we gotta vote fair maps. We had a pandemic. So we have some things that we got to get done. So that's our mission. So I can honestly tell you it's not on the agenda at all right now because of the mapping process that we have to do. I think Beth alluded to it earlier with regards to the maps. As you know, the commission voted the mapping procedure process. They're going to make some tweaks. But once the tweaks are made, the commission is going to make sure that what they voted actually happened. And then we're going to actually follow the mapping process, as you know, was discussed in an open and transparent manner on Thursday, December 16th at our meeting in Detroit. Sergio, let's see if we can hear you now.
Yes, sorry for that. So embarrassing that I still don't know how to use Zoom. But I guess the question is, are you comfortable with the voting process that the commission has discussed and I believe adopted, or do you think it needs more tweaking? And if it does, what are some of those tweakings that you think need to happen before the voting starts?
Going back to what happened last week, the commission did tweak it. It's been adjusted. We're waiting to get the final, the amended copy back, and then we will post it to the website so that each and every one of you and the public at large can access it. And then the commission will see that the changes that they recommended, that they asked for, not even recommended, that they asked for actually took place in the document. So yes, once we get the document back, we will post it on the website, and then the commission will ensure that the changes that they made on Thursday are in the document, and then proceed as is. And if they feel that they need to change it, by all means they can do so because it's their document. Okay, Lauren, and this will be the last question that we'll take.
Yeah, so just to follow up on Sergio's question, could you give a Cliff Notes version of what those changes to the voting process were? Was it anything substantial?
It was all done in the meeting, and I don't want to misquote anything. So, if you want to look at the old one, it's currently available on the website. And then once the new one comes on, you can do a compare and contrast. But it was just more or less making sure that the commission heard from the public that each of the collaborative maps, the individual maps, would be considered instead of having a vote on one map and not considering the others. That was something the commission directly wanted to do. And Commissioner Tella, please, by all means, add to the discussion if I didn't get it right. You're on mute.
Sorry, I hit mute and then I couldn't turn it back off. So now I'm going to need you to repeat the question. I'm sorry. I was so focused on unmuting, I forgot what the question was.
Lauren, do you want to repeat the question? I think Lauren might have left.
There's
Sorry. I just couldn't unmute myself until you requested me. So I was just curious, Commissioner, if you could give a Cliff Notes version of what the major changes were on Thursday.
That would be difficult. There were quite a few changes. If you look back at the original document, you'll see that for each step in the process, we had multiple decision points. And so it was things like, are we going to vote on every map before we vote on all the maps? And there were lots of decision points. And so we went through during that meeting and discussed each decision point for the different steps in the process. And I believe there's 4 steps total. And made, while we were going, Ms. Reinhardt was making notes on what we agreed on. So it would be hard to have the Cliff Note version. The Cliff Note version of the process is we vote, and if we get 2-2-2, then we're done. And otherwise there's a longer process involved. But that's the short of it.
And we will provide you with an updated copy of those procedures so that you can do a compare and contrast and not have to watch the videos, which are available at our YouTube channel and our Facebook page. Once again, on behalf of the Michigan Independent Citizens Redistricting Commission, we'd like to thank each and every one of you for joining us this afternoon to hear our comments and to know that we are still in the business. We're not detracted in any state of the matter as it relates to drawing fair map through public engagement. So once again, thank you so much for coming. And we look forward to seeing you Tuesday, December 28th at 10 o'clock a.m. when we will have our next meeting at the Cadillac Room in Lansing, Michigan, Thanks again to Good Marketing for assisting us and providing the background support. And we hope each and every one of you have a happy holiday season. Thank you again.
Thank you.